The crash alarm blared, but I was too busy trying not to get turned into a smear on the surface of some nameless moon. The ship's AI had already given up, the distress beacon was shot, and all I had left was a useless safety manual that basically boiled down to, "Try not to die." I hit the ground hard. Everything went black. When I came to, I was still alive, miraculously, though my ship was a smoking wreck. Oxygen levels were low, my comms were fried, and my ribs felt like someone had taken a plasma hammer to them. But then my scanner picked up something strange, another life sign, weak but nearby. I followed the signal and found her. She was small, 4 feet at most, and buried in the wreckage of what looked like an escape pod. The first thing I noticed? She was naked. The second thing? She was stunning. Smooth, silvery blue skin, delicate features, and long dark hair that fell in soft waves around her face. Her body was a mix of petite and impossibly curvy, like someone had put an hourglass on fast forward but forgot to shrink the important parts. Even unconscious, she had an ethereal, almost hypnotic beauty. And then she moaned. A soft, breathy sound that made something in my gut tighten. Her lips parted slightly, her brow furrowing like she was dreaming. I had to remind myself she was injured, not putting on a show. I crouched down, carefully lifting a piece of wreckage off her. Her body was warm against my fingertips, too warm. A fever. "Shit," I muttered. "All right, little alien, let's get you somewhere safe before you burn up." I slid my arms under her, expecting her to be light, but she was dense, like she had muscle packed under the deceptively soft frame. Her head lolled against my chest, and then she sniffed me. A deep, slow inhale, followed by the quietest little sigh of satisfaction. I froze. "Okay." I took a step, and she nuzzled in closer. Then, still mostly unconscious, she murmured something in a voice that sent a shiver down my spine. "MMM, strong, mate." I stopped walking. "Excuse me?" No response. She had passed out again. "Yeah, okay. That's not concerning at all." I got her back to my ship, what was left of it, anyway. The emergency power was still running, so I laid her on my bunk and covered her up with a spare shirt. She shifted, the fabric slipping off one bare shoulder, exposing the soft curve beneath. I looked away. Not the time. She needed water, medical attention, and her hand shot out and grabbed mine. My pulse jumped. Hey, you're awake?" Her eyes barely opened, dark, swirling pools of silver. And then she whispered something in a language I didn't understand, her fingers tightening around mine. A jolt ran up my arm. It wasn't painful, but it was definitely weird. Then, as suddenly as she had grabbed me, she let go and drifted back to sleep. For the next few days, she stayed in that half-conscious state, occasionally drinking water when I coaxed her, muttering things I couldn't understand. I tried not to overthink the fact that she kept reaching for me in her sleep. The fever finally broke on the 3rd night. I was sitting at my control panel, trying to jury-rig the comms when I heard her move. Turning, I saw her sitting up, blinking groggily. Then, before I could say anything, she did something that made my brain short-circuit. She smiled. Slow, sleepy, ridiculously sexy. Then she leaned in and kissed my nose. "Mate," she murmured. And before I could ask what the hell that meant, she bolted. 1 second she was there, barely able to stand, and the next she was gone, slipping out of my ship like a ghost. I ran after her, but by the time I reached the clearing, there was nothing left of her wreckage. Nothing left of her. Just an empty night sky and the faintest echo of her whispered word. "Mate." The spaceport bar smelled like cheap booze and bad decisions. I was 2 drinks in, staring at the bottom of my glass like it held the secrets of the universe, when a shadow fell over my table. small, familiar. Then a fist slammed onto the surface, rattling my drink. "There you are, husband!" I nearly choked. I turned my head, and there she was. A year older. Still 4 feet tall. Still unreasonably gorgeous. The delicate alien girl I had rescued now radiated confidence, and way too much excitement. She had filled out in all the right ways, and her outfit didn't help. A tight, shimmering bodysuit clung to her curves, thigh-high boots adding a few much-needed inches to her height. Her silver eyes locked onto me like a predator that had finally cornered its prey. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. She grabbed my face, squishing my cheeks together, and beamed. "Finally! My mate recognizes me." Every single patron in the bar turned to stare. I wrenched free. "Wait, what?" She puffed out her chest proudly. "We are bonded. Fated. My people's sacred ritual was completed when you saved me. As soon as I matured, I came back to claim you." I stared. "You came back to what?" She threw her arms around me like a tiny, over-enthusiastic octopus. "Claim! Love! Mate forever." The bartender coughed, barely hiding a smirk. Someone in the back whistled. I ran a hand down my face. "Okay, let's rewind. You're saying that when I rescued you, I accidentally proposed?" She nodded eagerly. I groaned. "And when exactly were you planning on telling me this?" She tilted her head like I had just asked why water was wet. "Did I not make it obvious?" "No." Her brows furrowed. "But I sniffed you." I choked on my drink. "You what?" She nodded seriously. "And nuzzled you. And whispered mate many times." I stared at her. "You were feverish and delirious." "Yes. Fever from sacred bonding process. That was my body claiming you." I rubbed my temples. "Let me get this straight. Your species bonds for life through rescue, touching, and sniffing?" "Exactly." I let my head thunk against the table. Her fingers curled under my chin, lifting my face. Her expression softened. "Do not worry, husband. I will take very good care of you." I groaned. "I'm not your husband." "You are?" She booped my nose. "And I am moving in." That snapped me out of it. "You're what?" She gestured behind her. A very large crate was being wheeled in by a delivery bot. "Where did that come from? I had my things sit ahead." She clapped her hands, gleeful. "We will nest together." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Lady, we just reunited, and you're talking about nesting?" "Yes." She smiled sweetly. "And mating." I slammed back my drink. I was gonna need a lot more of these. The bartender leaned in, grinning. "Need another round? Just bring the bottle." That night, I learned the hard way that she wasn't kidding about moving in. I stepped onto my ship, and there she was, lounging on my bunk like she'd owned the place for years. She stretched, the motion emphasizing every soft curve. "Ah, perfect. I approve of our den." "Our den?" She nodded. "Mates share everything. We will live together, sleep together, bathe together. Hold up. Eat together, fight together, and of course, make many, many offspring." I walked straight back out. She caught my shirt, yanking me inside with alarming strength. "No running. I worked very hard to find you again." I exhaled. "All right, listen. I appreciate the effort, but you can't just declare I'm your mate and move into my ship." Her bottom lip wobbled. Her huge, silver eyes went wide. "Oh no." She weaponized cuteness. "You do not want me," she whispered. I felt my resolve crumbling. "That's not." She sniffled. Actually sniffled. "Am I not good enough?" "Oh, come on." Her shoulders hunched. "Perhaps. I must work harder to prove myself." Her hands landed on my chest, and before I could stop her, she started unbuttoning my shirt. "Whoa, hey!" She paused, confused. "Is this not human courting?" "No. But I watched research videos." "What videos?" She perked up. "They were called Stepbrother. What are you doing?" "And mating rituals in the captain's quarters." I covered my face. "Oh my God!" She beamed, pleased. "You do recognize them." "That is not." I cut off, took a deep breath. "Okay. New rule. No more research videos." Her ears drooped. "Not even the ones where humans wear masks and chase each other. Especially not those." She pouted but nodded. Then she grabbed my hand and pressed it to her chest. My brain blue screened. Warm. Soft. Very soft. "Mates must be comfortable with each other," she declared proudly. I yanked my hand back like she'd set it on fire. "You can't just—" "But we are already bonded." "We are not bonded." "Then I must make you accept." She lunged. I dodged, barely escaping a very aggressive cuddle attack. She huffed, hands on her hips. "You are a very difficult mate. But do not worry. I will fix you." "Fix me?" "Yes." She puffed up proudly. "By training you properly." I backed toward the door. "I suddenly have urgent business not here." She tackled me. I hit the bed with a grunt, her small body landing firmly on top of me. She grinned down at me, smug as hell. "You cannot escape," she purred. I stared up at the ceiling. This was my life now. Waking up with 4 feet of alien woman draped over me had become disturbingly normal. She slept like a starfish, spread out, completely tangled around me, and absolutely unwilling to let go. Any attempt to move resulted in tiny, stubborn noises and her grip tightening like a vice. I had tested the limits of her strength before. I lost. I sighed. "You're awake, aren't you?" A sleepy hum. "MMM. You can let go now." She nuzzled into my chest. "No." I groaned. "We can't stay in bed all day." "Incorrect. We are mates. This is what mates do." "We are not mates." She licked my neck. I nearly launched her off me. "WH, what the hell?" She yawned. "Marking you." "With your tongue?" "Yes. Now other females will know you are taken." "There are no other females." She grinned. "Perfect. Less competition." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "I swear to— Listen, I need to get up." She rolled onto my chest, propping her chin on her hands. "What will you give me in exchange?" "Excuse me?" She fluttered her lashes. "A kiss. Or perhaps something more?" I stared. "You're insane." She smiled sweetly. "Then we are well matched." Before I could argue, my comm panel beeped. She immediately tensed. I grabbed my wrist console, answering the call. "Yeah." A familiar voice crackled through. "Captain, we got a job. Cargo transport, decent payout. You in?" Before I could answer, she grabbed my face and forced me to look at her. "No." I blinked. "No." She narrowed her eyes. "You will not endanger yourself." "It's not dangerous. It involves leaving me. Temporarily." She huffed. "No." The crew on the other end laughed their asses off. "Who's the firecracker?" "My not wife," I muttered. A pause. Then, "Holy shit. You finally got laid?" I hung up. She looked smug. "Good. You have no need for work. I will take care of you." I gave her a flat look. "With what money?" She grinned. 20 minutes later, I learned she was filthy rich. Apparently, her species prized mates above all else. So when she had gone back to her homeworld and declared me hers, they had funded her mission to retrieve me. I stared at the staggering number of credits in her account. This is more than I'll ever make in my entire life. Yes. She wrapped her arms around me, thrilled. You will never work again. I set the tablet down. That's not how this works. I have a life. A career. She perked up. Then I shall assist. I shuddered at the thought. Nope. Absolutely not. She pouted. You do not want to spend time with me? I hesitated. That was the problem. She was adorable, hilarious, frustrating, and ridiculously attractive. And the way she looked at me, like I was the center of her universe, made something warm curl in my chest. I sighed. I need time to think. She perked up immediately. Time together? Alone? Her ears drooped. You wish to be apart? For an hour. 1 hour is too long. Too bad. She grumbled but allowed it. Barely. I had exactly 30 minutes of alone time before she tracked me down. I'd barely settled into my pilot seat, enjoying the quiet, when I felt a presence. A very smug, pint-sized presence. You are difficult to stalk, she announced, hopping onto the console like she hadn't just violated my last ounce of privacy. I sighed. I said 1 hour. She grinned. And I waited. 30 minutes is close to 1 hour. That's not. I cut off, rubbing my temples. Never mind. She tilted her head. Are you grumpy? I exhaled. I just need space. She gasped. Are you dying? What? No. You need space. You are running out of oxygen. I knew this ship was unsafe. I must administer mouth-to-mouth immediately. She lunged. I caught her face just in time. No. I meant... I groaned. It's a human thing. It means I need time to think. She squinted. About what? I hesitated, because the real answer was her. She was too much, too fast, too intense. But she also made me laugh. Made me think. Made me feel wanted. I sighed. This whole situation. You, me, us. She brightened. There isn't us. That's not what I... She grabbed my hands. You admit it. I tried to pull back. Failed. I didn't say. You did. She squeezed my hands, beaming. Oh, this is wonderful. That's not what I meant. Shoo. Do not ruin the moment. I stared. You're impossible. She giggled. And yet you keep me. I opened my mouth. Paused. Because the truth was, I hadn't told her to leave. Not really. And when I thought about her gone, my stomach twisted. I groaned. She beamed. You love me. That is not what this means. It is exactly what it means. I dragged my hands down my face. Oh my God. She climbed onto my lap, smug as hell. You will accept it soon. I am patient. I snorted. No, you're not. She smirked. No, I'm not. I laughed to spite myself. Her smile softened. See? You are already happier with me here. I sighed. You are exhausting. She kissed my cheek. And yet you love it. I groaned. Shut up. Make me. I kissed her. It was a mistake. A big mistake. Because the second my lips touched hers, she melted against me. Soft, warm, perfect. I started to pull back. She didn't let me. Her fingers curled into my shirt, yanking me closer, deepening the kiss with all the enthusiasm of a woman who had zero concept of self-restraint. I was dizzy by the time she pulled away. She grinned. Finally. I swallowed hard. That doesn't mean I accept. She nuzzled into my neck. You will. I exhaled.